Welcome to our weekly podcast, Real Talk with Chris and Ross. We are designed for entrepreneurs and forward thinkers. We also care very heavily around the real estate industry as a whole, bringing you hot topics and up-to-date content with a lot of amazing special guest speakers along the way. So sit back, buckle your seatbelt, and get ready for the best hour of your day. Awesome. So we're super excited. Episode number 26 here. What's up? My co-host Ross in the third. How you doing, my friend?
Man, we're doing good today. How are you, Chris?
I can't complain, man. Nobody would listen anyway. So I'd say screw it. I'm actually happy I'm above ground, but not below ground. So that's a good day, right?
Come on.
We say I can work on the 24 hours. That's all I got in front of me. So actually less than that. So anyways, we're just for today, not the past, not the future.
That's right.
So awesome. Today we got a special guest on our thing. Every week we have those that are listening. Want to thank those that are following us consistently and hearing this valuable information. And for any new that's coming on, we hope this is a great channel for you as well. We like to aspire a lot of people, add value, and pour into others with a lot of business-oriented stuff, self-entrepreneurial driven kind of forward thinker stuff. And this week we have special guest Glennen Quyn, who is a friend of mine actually locally right here in Roseville, California. And I've met Glenn. I had the pleasure of meeting Glenn through the process. We're out here with our association. He's in the industry as well. He's actually got a great story. He's built an amazing business in the home inspection, termite kind of thing, right, Glennon?
Yep.
But more importantly is we were hanging out there tonight, which is ironic where we're at. And Glennon's a very deep individual, as you can tell. Like you see, he's a very deep individual. And we just started talking about things, man. And all of a sudden we started shooting off in 4 different directions about mindset, which you know that's my favorite subject in the world.
Come on.
And we were just talking. I was like, dude, we got to get on a podcast because, boy, we could just talk for hours. So, I mean, I love, first off, introduce Glennon, get a chance to kind of maybe share your story a little bit, Glennon, and we can start the stage that way. And then we always roll out with stuff and we'll kind of ebb and flow up and down, just kind of roll with it. And, but I do appreciate you taking time out of the day. I know your busy schedule as well. This guy lives half the time here and half the time in Costa Rica, by the way.
Wow.
He just got himself a place in Costa Rica. So he's living the life at this point,
That's awesome,
which I think we all aspire to have, but he just comes from a great humble place, which is amazing. So anyways, Glennon, thank you for joining the show. Welcome, and share with you real quick, give us an idea who you are and kind of start some of this journey with us.
Yeah, Chris, thank you very much for having me. Great to be here. Yeah, mindset is where it's all at. So, yeah, I'm in the Loomis area. Like you said, we're neighbors, and I've lived here for about 10 years. I'm originally from Sri Lanka, and I started a home inspection company about 15 years ago, and now we're trying to dominate California.
Peak in the brain, take over the world.
That's awesome.
Yep.
I love it. But like some of your story, obviously, I love the fact I think you kind of hit a little bit on it tonight. You guys started just yourself and you were small, you were scaled down, and then now you've built it into something pretty success and impressive to what you built it into today. And like I think when Derek and I were talking with you, like you were just yourself, right? So it wasn't like you were handed some silver spoon and it was an opportunity, like you've blood, sweat, and tears. Tell us a little about your journey on that, kind of what you built, how it started, why even home inspection? Like,
yeah. That's what I was going to ask.
There've been a million things, right? But why that?
Yep, totally. It's definitely, it's definitely a future projection of, kind of my vision back in the day. I mean, life was always a struggle, right? Just like, we all experienced that. And just coming from Sri Lanka, my reality was literally about 100 people.
Wow.
And that's all I knew, a 5-mile radius. It's an island, ocean all around. And I love the ocean. I got to go to the ocean twice in my entire life of 18 years. So lived in a very small bubble. And then I got the opportunity to come to America. And, culture was a barrier. Language was a barrier. Whole new world, and just try to figure things out. Literally, even though I got to come to America, that was a a huge move. But life didn't really get a lot easier, right? Because my stepfather was a very do-it-yourself person. He wasn't the guy to hold your hand and do things for you and things like that. So anyway, I tried to figure out the American way and what's in store. But I dropped out of school when I was 14 years old. I did not have any interest in education or, a high level of career or anything like that. Everything was at a chance, and I was supposed to figure that out. So, tried college, didn't work out because English was a barrier. And but then, time passed, and just got into a lot of trouble. And finally, when I was like 25, 7 years later, I decided to try college again. I got to actually travel a little bit and like really understand, what America is about, the way you think, the way you speak, different diversities and things like that. That was a great learning experience. But I decided that, hey, I gotta get into education, make something out of myself, and I started an aviation mechanic program at Solana Community College. Completed that, then 9/11 happened, so aviation industry just tanked. Then I decided to move on with education and got a bachelor's degree in professional aeronautics. At this point, I have 2 kids, bought a house, and still bartending. 2007, lost the house, had another baby. Now I have 3 kids in an apartment. And life was just down there, right? But I still had that. I look back, and I was in a lot of like trial and error situations, but I always took value out of it. Mm-hmm. And I was like, what do I need to do to prevent this from happening again? So I was constantly creating and imagining the future. And, and I was curious. I was always paying attention to what comes along. And we lost the house, moved in with my in-laws. Next door neighbor started talking about his part-time home inspection business. And the bartending was getting just tiring. Kids getting home at 2:00, waking up at 4, kids crying, all that. So just struggle, right? So I got into the home inspection business, had no knowledge of it, no construction experience. But I committed to it. I committed to it for 6 months, took a course, and self-taught myself, through books. Then I started getting the idea. I'm like, okay. I was just paying attention to that big win, right? Which I'm getting to quit my bartending job, work for myself, call the shots, and make $350 a pop, 2 a day. We're set for life. That was like a huge win, right? So I was going after that, took a 2-day crash course, and started my first inspection. The agent never used me after that. I was such a rookie, but I'm like, you know what? I'm willing to fail. I'm willing to fall, and I'm going to stand up and let's go. So that motivation was there. So I kept going. So now I was bartending and doing home inspections, and slowly I'm building relationships with agents. What really worked was like the customer service part, which stems from just caring for people. Mm-hmm. When you care for people and do what you say, people build trust with you. Mm-hmm. So that compounded into more and more agents requesting me for home inspections. I got to quit my job. And now I find myself, year and a half into it, just hustling, grinding. Now I learned how to do repairs, and I figured out how to get my contractor's license. So now I'm doing construction, bartending, and home inspections, 18-hour days and small kids. But you know what? Life is about going through mad storms, you go through this stuff, it just gets better. It just gets better. Guaranteed, promise you.
Keep preaching, Glennen. This is good.
Dude, 2011, burned out, almost getting into a divorce, filed bankruptcy, rock bottom. And I was at a point that, dude, I have to choose right now what my future is going to be. Sat down with my wife. I want to be married. I want to be a dad. I'm ready to do this. Yes or no? She said yes. Yes.
Oh, amen.
And then I decided, like, you know what? Okay, I'm going to work freaking hard at this marriage thing, dad thing. I'm going to freaking go all in on my home inspection business. Quit the bartending, went all in the home inspection. I decided, like, construction and inspections, not going to happen. I want to focus on one thing. So I chose to focus on home inspections. Then, things started getting more clear. It's like now I have like a more of a clear path, and I'm focused on one thing, and I can put all my energy into it. And it really worked. I got so booked up. I'm like, okay, I think I need to hire someone now. I have no experience in hiring or business knowledge or anything, right? Marketing or anything. But I'm like, hey, if I have a good opportunity here with my business, I want to create that for someone else. So I select someone and created the picture of, hey, you know what? This could be kind of like working for yourself too. I'll pay you well. I'll train you. I'll give you all the tools, and let's go. Just from like my basic instincts, I went with it, and took 8 or 9 months to get this guy trained up. And now I'm thinking, like, so he was a helper, so he became a home inspector 9 months later. Now we're both busy and I need to hire more. And I'm like, oh my gosh, it's going to take 9 months to hire and train someone. This is a cyclical business. So anyway, went for it. So now I'm at like 4 inspectors. I hired an office person because I can't answer the phone. So slowly I'm starting to like kind of feel a rhythm, right? But still no knowledge, like, how to do business or anything like that. But obviously I hit a ceiling. That's the farthest I can go. So I had to stop and think a little bit and say, like, hey, I need some outside knowledge. So I went to a conference, learned some new things. Like I was scheduling on Google Calendar. Wow. And I found this platform out there that's very robust, very technology savvy, specifically made for home inspection companies, scheduling, CRM, payment system, invoicing, and all this stuff. So that made my life super easy, and it opened up a door to like think bigger with these possibilities, right? So I'm like, this is great. Along the way, I got to meet some great people who are like very successful in the home inspection business. And I intentionally built relationships with these people because, hey, I want to know how you became great. I want a piece of that, learn, right? So you always got to be a student. So that happened, and then things moved on at a pretty rapid rate, hit a ceiling again. I was able to get out of the business, kind of go golfing, and I kind of leaned into that lifestyle way, like very soon, and I got comfortable there. I'm like, oh, I'm not in a crawl space, decent money, everybody's happy, everybody's working. And I had to just take a moment and like, the aha button came up, and I'm like, dude, I feel like I'm in a cloud. I have way more potential, and I'm not ready to stop right now. Right. So I had to figure out like, okay, what's next? So I'm like, okay, now I allowed myself to think that I'm in a spot and I need to get out of it because there's a bigger potential for me, and just throw it out of the universe. Within weeks, one of the relationships I made at that first conference, this is, 2.5 years later, he's like, buddy, there's this cool conference happening. We should go. I'm like, nah, it's like, it's like $800, flight and all this stuff. I don't think I want to do that. He like literally forced me to go. I went to it. Bro, that was a different level. So that was all about mindset. and you don't know what you don't know. Your conscious mind is only so powerful, and there's so much power behind that. How do you tap into it? How do you create opportunities? How do you build visions? And how do you get clear, creative, imagination, all that stuff? And boom, another aha button, right? I come back, this is 2018. At the time, we did only home inspections. And at that conference, I got the okay to think bigger and differently. Because you can't stay in your same lane. You have to be curious and have an open mind to what's out there, right? If you just focus on one thing, you do have to, but not, you have to also allow for other things to come in. So you have to be aware. Within 3 years, we 10x'd our business, right? People. At that time in 2018, we had like 8 or 9 people. Last July, we had 70 people.
Ooh.
That's like 3.5 years later.
That's
So
massive.
yeah, thank you. I came back, only home inspections. I'm like, you know what? We need termite.
Just by and that quick mind shift. That's all you had. You had a quick mind shift. You had a new understanding, and then boom.
Did you say 70? 70. 70. Holy shit.
That's a big
Dude,
number.
you built a tribe, bro.
Yeah, it was great, man. It's all about like getting clear on your vision. They actually, in the conference, they focused a lot on mindset and vision and what does that mean? How do you share that with your people? How do you get them excited and for them to be a part of your journey and for them to actually buy in? So there's a lot of components in business strategies I learned from it. Actually, I'll go back. I learned very little, but it got me curious and wanted to learn more about all the things that I thought that would work. So I expanded on that knowledge because, your current reality is as much as your knowledge and your experiences. That's it. You have to vision out to the future that never happened. Also, you have to understand that your mind is only going to allow visioning based on your knowledge now. So you have to think outside the box, right? Which I did. And we had a great run. I mean, it's amazing. So we started a termite division, then we started construction and repairs, and we're strategically marketing, we're strategically branding our name, our customer service, our customer satisfaction, just all the key components that a business should have to excel and thrive, right? So I'm constantly trying to develop the knowledge and implement this stuff into the business. And along the way, I mean, life-changing stuff happened, right? Personally and relationally. And everything was great. And so last year, the market tanked, right? I mean, beginning of the year, we were just hiring like crazy. Training now, when I started hiring my first guy, which took 9 months to train, we boiled that down to like max 3 months. Guys with no experience, but we had to strategically plan that process, right? We do personality assessments. Is this person the right person to do this job? Can they actually thrive in it? So got very strategic about it. Our retention rate is awesome. People don't quit, right? They love everything about it. And we had a massive growth. Something that you have to be aware is most people fail within the first 5 years before they hit $1 million. 5 million, 0.04% hit 5 million. I mean, that's a very small number. And I kept that definitely in the back of my mind that we have to do things right if we need to, make it in business and life and everything else. But we definitely failed last year, just with the point is I didn't have a clear vision for the future. And I was doing a lot of things that works for the present, right? Hiring and buying cars and all this stuff. And then the market tanked. And that was a good wake-up call for me. I'm so blessed and glad that happened. It taught me something. When everything is going good, you have to slow down and take a good x-ray of everything. Okay? one, keep the goodness going and be prepared for the unexpected, and just be aware. So that was a learning lesson for me, and it made me slow down. It made me take a really close look at our company. Where are we going? Are we heading in the right direction? Do we have the tools? Do we have the right people, the right processes? What's our profitability? Are we doing all this, and are we all making good money? That's why we work for, right? To make money so you can live the life of your life that you desire. So help me slow down and really structure the business in a way that it can actually healthily scale up, which had to, we're working on some great stuff right now. Really putting processes in place is key. So, and also there are these stages in life when it comes to business that you're kind of like, you're constantly expanding. You have to expand your learning, your coaching, the way you think, the way you do things. All these things need to scale up too, because if not, either you're going to go backwards, possibly even completely fail, or you're going to hit ceilings and you're not going to go to your potential, right? So that made me really think like, okay, what is our vision? What's our brand promise to our customers? What is our actual client base? How can we serve them to the best of our ability, right? Is our people happy? What's our culture? What are our core values? What is our mission and vision? Do they really understand it? Do we constantly coach and develop our people? So all that stuff, it gave me time to like really, because when you're growing, you're constantly in the hustle. Your mind doesn't have time to think because you're in the whirlwind of the daily grind, right? And then also I'm like, dude, I need to focus on my health. I need to focus on my relationships. I need to focus on my finances, my marriage, being a dad, my spirituality, started doing yoga because my back was all crapped up, and I'm constantly, going to work out and stuff and not doing anything about it. I had to decide like, dude, I got to do something. I had to change my workout routine. Now I'm starting to like really become more purposeful. About a year ago, I joined this group called Go Abundance. That was another massive pivotal moment in my life because these group of guys are like, they're serious about living life freaking big. That was another conference that I went to and decided to join. It was a very large amount to join, but I did it because I'm constantly seeking like, how can I be better every day? And I surround myself with people like that. I read a book that the founders wrote, and that's how the group started. After I read the book, I'm like, oh my gosh, this is freaking amazing. So I joined. That has made a massive impact on my thinking, relationship, like purposefulness, all this cool stuff, right? So it's a well-rounded group that hits on all these different things, and they're huge on accountability. So man, right now, I mean, things are just exactly the way I want in every area. And I'm just excited to just continue on and just make things better and share that with other people to inspire them, and also to be a coach, to, push people up. And any opportunity I get to share my story or the way I think or my wins, I love wins. I love hearing about people's wins. It definitely inspires me. It motivates me. It gives me purpose. Again, curiosity and awareness. When you see something working for people, take note of it, right? Instead of saying like, oh, you're too good, imposter syndrome. Be open to it. People who are successful and are winning in life, they want to share it. So when you're at a conference or a meeting or around other people, be intentional about talking to them. Have meaningful conversations, right? You're always going to learn something, or you might learn something about yourself within the conversation. So
that's good. That's good. Yeah. Glennen, it's funny because while you're talking, by the way, man, I just want to say I love your story. Like, you have such an amazing story. I hear so many great truths. One, and I was going to say before I was going to lead into this is that I've just been remaining quiet because you're answering all the questions so good, like so thoroughly, man. You're just running through the process, but like you've always remained a student of life and you're very open to the outcomes. And we talk about this, and it's so great to hear another person, another, successful entrepreneur say the same things. Man, I had to have an imagination. I had to be open to the possibility. I had to, keep going. When I hear you talk about, growing it, having young children, being married, going to work, then going to the bartending job, and then the kids are waking up early and you're not getting sleep and you're trying to wrestle through all that, man. I can relate to a lot to that, right? I had a lot of, 2 under 2 at one point, and I was building my business. And so I'm like, man, you were in it, bartending, doing the inspections, like you were full blown all in on your success, man. And to that, hearing your story, man, every part of it, you're always taking accountability for everything. And I just want to tell you, man, I really appreciate that about you. Just hearing your authentic self talk about, hey, you never said, well, oh, this happened to me and that's why I didn't get X, Y, and Z. Everything is this happened. This is how I digest it. This is how I pivoted. And this was my outcome. And man, that is awesome. Keep going, brother. This is good stuff. So, for all the entrepreneurs listening right now, what was like the key thing? I know you kind of said like what got you into inspections, but was there something that you saw in that neighbor that did inspections that gave you that fire of maybe I can make something of this? Because I know you kind of said you just like ran into him a bit and he told you what he was doing. But I just wonder, like, was there something you saw that he had in that moment that was like, hey, I could take this to the next level? Or did you just go with it?
Ross, thanks for asking that question. Super powerful. So yeah, the neighbor, obviously he was, we had to build a relationship first, right? We had to start talking, and I had to trust him to make sure that this home inspection thing is actually a real thing. And if I'm going to invest my time and energy in it, I want to do my due diligence. So I really want to get to know this guy first. What a great guy to know. He was a pastor at a Christian church, and he did home inspections on the side. And I'm like, this is the type of person I can definitely trust. So you know what? I'll come check out your church. Let's go out golfing. And the conversation started building up, right? He was definitely passionate about helping, but people tend to have a higher tendency of help when the opposing person actually asks for help, right? I was always like, curiosity again, right? Ask questions, be curious about it, have interest in it. When people see that you're interested in something, they are interested, they want to share that. So I was definitely interested and curious. I'm like, hey, tell me more about this.
Okay.
And he's the one who said that, hey, there's an extra income for me. I'm a pastor, obviously, like a school teacher. I'm not, making I'm not a baller, but the extra money definitely helps for my family. So I do inspections on part-time. I'm like, hey, I can relate to that story. Cool. Sign me up.
That's cool. Heck yeah. That's awesome. And look at all the places it's brought you, man. Go ahead, Chris. Yeah.
No, it is. I'm unraveling this myself. I know Glennen, which is ironic, but I now have a whole nother like respect for Glennen. Like we know each other, but we know each other, but we don't really know each other. Like now I can really know Glennen. And
yeah,
it's interesting. You can always have perceptions of whatever you want until you hear somebody's real story. And then holy crap, like I just wanted so many things to unpackage here. Man, number one, I really truly respect the fact, and this is my personal thing. I know Andrea too, your wife. She's amazing too, awesome person. To see that you guys went through all the struggles you went through, nobody in their imagination would have known that you guys had gone through so much. Like from the outside looking in, like, oh, you guys are great. But to hear those stories makes it more relatable.
Yeah,
that you're a human being and you go through struggles like anybody else, right? But that you guys actually sat down. I love you sat down. Like, I want to be a dad. I want to be a husband. And are you in or are you out? And like, that was it. That was a defining moment. That sounded like, and then she's like, I'm in. You're like, yay. And it was like that moving forward. It was like zero doubt. Like we're going to, and I respect that tremendously. And two, man, I love same thing. I picked up, you're never making excuses. You never make excuses about life. No matter what freaking shit hits the fan or what left punch, right punch, you just went with it. And again, coming from that place of always wanting to learn, being coachable, learning based is tremendous. But I love what you said about your reality is only as much as your knowledge. And when we think about that, you want to unpackage like reality. Reality is your belief system. Reality is what you believe yourself to be. Whatever fucking story you've said about yourself is your reality. That is your reality. But on top of that, knowledge is power, as they say, which means that you should be doing something on a daily, consistent basis to be taking in some level of knowledge, reading, listening, networking, meeting with other people like this pastor, your neighbor, or going to these abundance groups, just plugging in to be able to absorb like a sponge and take in all you can to change that knowledge level, to keep making it rise. Then your reality will adjust. Hopefully it does, right? Sometimes there's a discrepancy there because sometimes your reality will stay down here because your belief system sucks so bad, but then your abundance and all the stuff you're coming up here is like, so you got to figure out how to make those match. And that's where like I even struggle in my life is like, my reality a lot of times is the stories that we've imposed on ourselves as children. Right? It's a 7-year-old story. The 7-year-old story you told yourself at 7 is the shit that you believe now in your 40s and 50s, and that's your reality. But I love that you said that because, Glenn, again, that comes and really supports your ability to continue to grow by taking in knowledge and adding it. So that's my thing too. I'm a reader every day. I'm a believer in reading. I read every day because I'm absorbing so much stuff and it's changing the trajectory of my mind the way I think. And you know what? Slowly but surely, my reality is changing too. So, God, there's so much about the story, Glenn. Like I can sit like, holy crap, so many parallel things. Like the other night we talked at the party, mine was, this guy Frank. A guy Frank wasn't even a neighbor. It was a guy that was working on his house. Like I was working on his house that was 8,000 square feet. A wife that looked like Barbie. You know my story, Ross. Glennon, that was my neighbor. That was my neighbor in Glennon's story, right? Like, oh my God, I see all these things I want to acquire and have. Like, I want your life. Glennon, Ross was the guy that was selling suits. The guys that walked in and were buying 4 or 5 of these fancy suits, and Ross was broke and was like, I want to know what are you doing to dress like this, right?
Yeah. Yeah, man. I was literally sitting there. I was like, how you're my age right now. You're buying all these suits. They're not even asking about the prices, Glennon. And I'm like, I knew when I shopped, I was looking at the suits. Okay. Yep. All right. That's the cheaper one. I'll take that one.
I can take that one.
And they're like, we sell real estate. And I'm like, all right, if it can work for this guy, it's got to work for me,
Yeah.
And the other piece I want to add, one more thing is that, Glennon, you I don't want to say you stumbled, but I think everything in the universe happens for a reason. Your neighbor happened to be the right neighbor, and he had to be doing the home inspections for you to really fall into that. But it's not even about it was home inspections. It could have been anything, honestly. It could have been any kind of career. I think you were just in a place in your mind that you were ready to be done. Like you were tired of being tired of your current situation, and you're willing to do whatever it took to make it work. And that's another thing I want those that are listening out there. Anybody that has these excuses of this doesn't work, that doesn't work. I've tried that already. I've tried that too. This doesn't work. We failed so many times. This can happen. I mean, listen to Glennon's story. The guy came from another country, not even in America. And yet you have managed to thrive and do things here in this country that, let's just be honest, there's about 85% of other people that are Americans don't even come to this level of business, right? Why are they sitting there asking for handouts? Why is there such a high homeless rate when you are somebody who comes with nothing that supports you at all, honestly, to be in here? So that was another admiration. Like, holy crap. Like it could have been any business, but it was not about the business. It was about you. It was about you. Dude, thank you for sharing all this stuff. It's crazy. I'm like, 4th of July fireworks in my forehead, bro. I'm like,
literally, Chris, I'm over here.
Oh, shit.
Oh my gosh. There's so many things, as I'm, you're kind of, giving a summary of what I said, and I'm catching a lot of things that you're saying. And we could go deep in one session on one of those topics.
Oh, I know.
And I would love to come back and have more conversations about it. Yeah, man. I mean, you touched up on so many things. It's that story you tell yourself, right? And then, when you were at Frank's house, you made a decision and you took action. That's it, and we all can do that. We all can do that. We all can live to that highest potential in life. It's just that we're all capable of it. You just got to see it and believe in it and take action on it. So yeah, mindset shift, man. I mean, it's so important, and just slowing down and taking some time to think is huge. I get very creative when I slow down, stop, and like that's why yoga and meditation is like I'm huge on it. I love it.
Too.
Yesterday, I was just laying down for just 5 minutes, just soaking in everything, and just I mean, it's such a validation. Like you become super creative and you think about some cool stuff, intentional stuff that you can actually take action on, and it becomes super fun when you're doing things and it's constantly producing results and making you like a stronger person. It's just super rewarding. I think everybody should be at that mindset, and it's possible as long as you just have that time to think and have that mindset shift and intentionally take action. You know, with the home inspection thing, I did make a goal. I made a goal of like, dude, if we can do 2 inspections a day, you know, 10 inspections a week, we'll be set. That was my goal, right? I made a commitment to hit it, and I hit it. Then your goal's getting bigger and bigger, and all these new things come up, and you look back and it's like, oh my gosh.
Yeah.
You know, people ask me sometimes, hey, I haven't seen you in a while. What's new? I'm like, dude, you have a few hours to sit down and talk.
I got a list.
In the last 3 months, I have done like all these crazy stuff. And I'm like, dude, that was the past. This is the future. What a journey. Just 3 months.
Wow.
Right. And it's, I really want any possibly, whatever I can do to speak or empower, whatever, to share this with as many people as possible so they can take action and like seriously live a big life, man.
Come on, man. Glennen, I have a question for you because I was going to say, a lot of your story too, you adapt well under pressure, right? Like I'm assuming if you're working all those jobs, you're creating that family. I mean, these are not easy times. And as you've built your business, right, I'm assuming as you expand, there's just more and more pressure. You said at one point you got to 70. I mean, are you at 70 now, or do you have more now in terms of inspectors on your team?
We downsized to about 55.
Oh, still okay. 55, brother. This is a big number. Okay. So that's a pressure though. What now? There's a lot of entrepreneurs and they stretch themselves. I know for me, I've stretched myself, I've overstretched myself. And then I'm like, okay, like you said, in those slowdown periods, I need to calculate it back. What are some tips or what are things that you do? I know you said you like to play golf. I've kind of picked up on that, man. If I ever come out to California, we'll have to play around. But what are the things that you do to kind of adapt under the pressure to still find clarity for your vision? Because that's a thing that I notice a lot, including myself, can cloud the vision, right? You have the imagination, you have the curiosity, but sometimes the pressure stops you from taking the action. Are there things that you recommend or do to get past those things?
Yeah, definitely. Great question. Stress is a real thing and welcome it. It's good. We're built to be under pressure, but you can manage it. You can choose which things you allow to cause pressure to you, right? So like think about what kind of things cause pressure and you work on it, eliminate it, manage it, whatever. Now you have a system that you have taught yourself. Now you're in, now you have experience in it. Now you have confidence like, hey, you know what? I'm good at being under pressure. Now you're aware of it. Now when pressure comes, it's not like, oh, got you from the back, right? You're familiar with it. You're used to it. And I always tell myself, worry is a real thing, and we do it all the time for no freaking reason. We worry about, unforeseen circumstances that in the current moment you have no control of. Okay? You're going to have to figure it out. One way or another, it's going to be good or bad. But people just spend more time on worrying about it than actually taking action on moving into making it better. Because if it's a worse outcome, it wouldn't be as worse. You still did something about it, right? So that's one thing. And the other thing is have your support around you. I did that, 2 years ago. I wanted a leadership team. You don't have to do everything alone, okay? You need to understand that surround yourself with people that you can actually reach out and ask help, who's going to give you good advice, your advisors, right? So I have a leadership in my team in my company. So we make decisions together. That way we all know where our company is going, where we're at, what decision should we make now. And I'm the leader of it. And end of the day, I agree with them and say like, hey, let's do this or let's not do this. So surround yourself with people. And I'm in EO, I'm in GoBundance. I have a lot of business owners that I have very close relationships with. I ask them, I'm like, hey, I'm in a situation like this. What should I do? I'm thinking about doing this. Can you please share your opinion on that? I would love to hear your input on it. Right. So just build yourself a system on how to, handle things that actually cause pressure and tension and stress and all that stuff.
Heck yeah.
And without pressure, there's no diamonds, right? Diamonds are created through pressure, right?
That's a motivating factor for us, right? It motivates us to like, hey, let's figure it out. Let's figure it out. So we don't have to be pressured or, stressed out and stuff like that. And that's never going to go away.
Yeah.
That's just part of life, man.
Well, I feel like that's kind of a skill set, right?
You got to develop your skill set, right?
Yeah.
Your defense mechanisms. That way you're open to welcoming it. Hey, now you're open to new ideas. Now you're not afraid that, I'm going to fail and I don't want to deal with that pressure.
Come on.
It's interesting you say that because I think it is, like I mentioned, it's a skill set. It's a way to actually understand how to maneuver and manage that. Because I think people say, hey, figure out how to manage that stress. Well, okay. That just sounds so cliche. Sure, I'll just go out there and figure that out. No, I don't even know where to begin, how to manage my stress, how to prioritize it, or how to actually even deal with that thing that hits me in the face, like literally like a Mike Tyson punch in the face. Like everybody's got a plan, like Mike Tyson says, so you get punched in the face. It's like, oh, shit, what do we do now? And so I was listening to a podcast this morning while I was running. David Goggman was on there, right? You all know him, right? The guy who's unbelievable, does crazy over the top stuff. Most people actually probably criticize him and think it's just like, you're too much. You're like way too much. And they're like, what are you thinking? Like, why do you do so much? And he's like, I love what he said. He says like, I needed to prepare myself. He says, I was never running to train for a marathon. I was running to train for life. I was building calluses of the ability to overwhelm or overconsume or overdo things that I knew that I was going to be confronted with things in life that were going to hit me like a sledgehammer. I wanted to know how to deal with them. And when he was doing all these 100-mile races and back-to-back freaking things he was doing, like they were in most people's mind completely unrealistic, he needed to do that. That was his journey. That was his thing that he needed to do to build up that callus, to be able to be like withstand that. So it's interesting. Like it's all relative. You got to figure it out. But majority of people that say he's crazy and that he's stupid and over the top, like that's just too much, are the same ones that are not succeeding in life, the same ones that will not push through stress, the same ones that when they get punched once in the face, they fall on their knees and never get back up again. They do not know how to handle stress. So be that as it may, call it what you want to call it, say what you want to say, but the truth is he needed to do that. So what do you need to do to be able to defend and get back up and being punched in the face from Mike Tyson? That's what I want to ask you, right? That's the key. I love it. Glennen, dude, it's amazing.
That's gold, man. Living with a Seal. Jesse Itzler wrote it. And
I love that book. Love that book.
Yeah, great book, right?
Jesse Itzler's the man. Yeah.
This guy is tough. If I wanna do great things and live a big life, I need to know how to freaking be tough. So he freaking hired him to come and spend so much time with him, train with him, and do all this stuff. And it's such an amazing story. And it's a great point. It's an absolutely great point. Yeah, you got to go out of your comfort zone, man. You can't be all safe and, not try new things. You got to do those tough things and just got to have that grit, right? And it's like physical toughness has such a correlation with mental and emotional toughness. Yeah. All three of those components has a huge influence on, the identity that you create for yourself.
That's crazy. That's deep. It really is. Like, man, we just covered a whole lot here. We like got a buffet. We got like a sizzler buffet.
Literally, man.
Seriously. I mean, we covered everything. And just based off of your life story, honestly, Glennen.
Straight up.
And I feel like everybody has a story, right? Everybody's got a story, but it really is yours is more unique because it's yours. And you honor and respect it because it's yours. And it's your personal one that you put your touch on. And I like that you always are like you kind of designed your life. If I want to say it, you made a comment like right now you're in a place where everything is where you want it to be.
Mhm.
Your marriage, your relationships, your business, your life, your happiness, spiritual, mental, physical, emotional, financial, it's where you want it to be. And there's a reason why. Because you broke every one of those sectors down and figured out how you wanted to intuitively make each one look like. And you made it happen. It's that freaking simple, honestly, people that are listening, right? You're like, oh my God, my life's a hot mess and I can't figure out nothing. Yeah, because you choose not to. You choose not to put the work into those specific areas and actually invest time, energy, and effort to make it freaking work. You've done that. So you could be a true testament of a life by design. You
Come
have
on.
created a life by design. You designed that shit, man. You didn't just like wake up tomorrow and snap your fingers and freaking it just made itself. So
Oh, yeah.
I applaud you. I respect you on a whole nother level, my friend. Just for the simple fact that, man, hearing your story right now, you have truly designed your life. And again, now they got this place in Costa Rica. I mean, that's a whole other story too. Like you guys have branched off and now living your dream, which again, I think is most people don't ever get there. So my God, Glennen, thank you so much for coming on the show. I wish we had more time for this because, man, I could just unravel this for days. And we could talk for days on this. You know, Ross and I would love this stuff, but it's very in tune and parallel with business. I always believe that if you can't figure out the core foundation of figuring your life out and what your driver, passions, everything about that is, your why, then you really are never going to succeed in business at all. And in anything, relationships, life, anything. So here we are again with an amazing special guest. Glennen, your time was amazing and priceless today. And as always, my special co-host, Ross Rawson III from Michigan. We're always trying to lay it out and pull out some fire to you guys out there listening. We appreciate each and every one of you guys that constantly listen to us every week. And for any of you newcomers that are joining this time, we hope this was of huge value to you. And we will be here again next week as we always are. Until then, you guys have an amazing week. Go out and crush it. And we love you all.